Ten?
Everybody in the Big Ten is going to play good defense. It's what stands out to me. That's why we're all here. It's why I'm here. It's why this coaching staff's here. It's why the majority of our players came here is for Big Ten football. The highest level of football. I'm excited about it. I dabbled in it last year for 3 games. It was awesome. So looking forward to 9 of them. So no disrespect to Michigan at all. I'm just excited about Big Ten play. And so. With that becomes a lot of challenges. There's a lot of really good defense that's played in this league, and Michigan certainly set the standard for that for a long time. So I've never competed against them. That excites me. They got a great coaching staff. They got great players, great tradition. It's something that we understand as well. So just really excited for the opportunity.
What did you learn about what sets maybe Big Ten defenses apart from those games last year?
Toughness, physicality. It's typically low-scoring games. Opposite of the Big 12, so to speak. So I do think that we played some pretty good defense throughout the course of my last 15 years or whatever. But it's week in, week out. Everybody's going to have a solid physical, defense that is sound and well coached with good players. So just really excited for the opportunity, man.
Coach, obviously this is the type of games that Dylan kind of came to Nebraska for. Have you kind of talked to him about what this atmosphere is going to be like? I know he's played at Memorial Stadium, but this is a big game that a lot of fans have circled on their schedule for a couple of years.
He told me. He's seen it a lot more than I have. I look back at the last 2 weeks and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. So game 1 at Cincinnati was incredible. With our fan base and then the night game was something that I hadn't experienced here. And then you turn around, you go, oh, it's going to look like at 11 o'clock. I've been in that situation to where it's been great, and then 11 a.m. it's hot, and it's kind of. You know what I mean? And that didn't exist here last week. So, I don't know what to expect other than greatness, and I know he's looking forward to it. I know I am. I know, Coach Rule is. This is a big game because, all of them are big, and so we know who the opponent is, and it's our job to know everything about them, man. What they're doing defensively, who they are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what their plan of attack is, and then on Saturday, thinking that we know what they're going to do, and having to adjust what they are doing. That's just part of our job.
You might be more familiar with Biff Poggi than anybody here. What do you expect from him, knowing what you know about his ability to coach?
Oh yeah, I'd go way back with him. My son played for him for a while when he was at St. Francis. He brings a lot of energy now, and he's a good football coach, and his kids play hard for him. That's what I remember about it. I don't know anything about what happened at Charlotte, but just from back when he was at St. Francis, they had national teams and a lot of talent. I recruited that school for a long time and took kids out of there as much as I possibly could because their talent was so good. They got some of those kids on Michigan's team right now. So he's going to get those guys ready to play.
What do you know about what did Oklahoma do defensively just to kind of give Michigan problems a couple weeks ago when they won that game in Norman?
What did Michigan do defensively? Or did you say Oklahoma did defensively?
I'm sorry. Yeah, what did Oklahoma do to kind of give Michigan problems?
Yeah. Well, the quarterback run game, which we're not going to do much of that, obviously. But they hit him on some deep balls. Oklahoma's quarterback's a good player. It's the first time I've seen him play. He was a West Coast kid, and so I didn't know anything about him. But he's extremely competitive, extremely athletic. Gave them problems in the quarterback run game. So some of that video is useful for us. Some of that video is not useful for us. I've watched everything that Michigan did last year, and the games that they did this year, so there's things that we'll be able to take from it. But, probably the main thing was the quarterback run game, but the kid did do a good job of putting the ball in play in the pass game, a lot of empty stuff, and we'll be able to take what we can from it.
They've surrendered some yards to Oklahoma's tight end in that game. I mean, have you looked at some of that tape and talked to Luke about how he can get a little more open this weekend?
Yeah, that's I didn't think Luke played very good last week. As much as I've been up here bragging about him, I mean, if it doesn't look very good, I'm going to say it doesn't look very good, and so I don't think Luke played very well last week. And so that's going to motivate him regardless of who we play or what the defensive structure is. He's always going to have a role in our offense regardless of what defense is doing. Just the way that we spread things around, the way that we run the ball with tight ends. I mean, he's going to have a valuable role in every game, and so I know he had a big week, but he's got to get refocused, and we need a little bit more out of him.
Where did he come up a little short, just without total evaluation?
Obviously he had the drop pass early, which I've never seen him drop a pass. Not in practice, not in a game. I've bragged about him and his reliability and just always doing the right thing. Some things in the run game didn't look great for him. I'm not here trying to kill Luke. That's not the purpose of this. But he knows it. And he had a good practice out there today. And he's to answer your question, he's going to be a valuable part of what we do in every game plan.
You're a deep red zone offense. What do you guys need to do to kind of take that next step when you're inside the 10-yard line?
Can't waste plays. That first drive where we didn't score, and I know that's a topic, and it's on Coach Rule's mind. We got to score when we're inside the 5. We do. I've talked about that since the day I got here. I showed him, the 4 Big Ten CFP teams last year were all 70 plus. That goal is 70. We've been 66, 66, and 64 or something like that, right? And so, which is a lot better than last year. Last year is in the 40s, okay? And so we have took a step in that direction. We've worked it. We got to continue to work it. But, we've just wasted a couple plays down there. Last week I'm 3rd and 5. The 2 receivers didn't get the check. I mean, that's just flat out unacceptable, and so we wasted that play, the play before that, we tried a pass to Dane that we've worked. We can't work it anymore, okay? And he's just got to run that route a little bit more sudden. He got into him, the guy grabbed him, which if you get into him, the guy's going to grab you. So you got to be more sudden and get through that. So Dylan threw, I thought, was a pretty good pass, but he couldn't get to it. That's a wasted play. So, the other stops were later in the game. I probably would have called that a little bit differently if it would have been, our black team in there instead of our white team in there. No excuse. Everybody's got to have an opportunity to execute. They need to go in there and execute when they have that opportunity to play. Okay, but it's improved from last year. It's not what it needs to be for what our goal is. Okay, and so we just need to not waste plays and keep moving forward. I do think we were an efficient offense last week. We had one negative play, which was victory. I'll take that. That was the only negative play that we had the entire day. That's been something that we focused on going forward, not backwards. We, 2 penalties, no turnovers, 55% critical downs, which we'd like to have a couple of those back. But for the most part, I think our offense is efficient. And as quality of play goes up, which it will in the Big Ten, then our quality of play needs to go up as well.
Hey, Coach, what's the challenge like coaching quarterbacks when I'm looking at defense that shows something, the safety shows something pre-snap, and then after the snap they rotate into something different? Just what's the thought process of trying to coach those guys to deal with that?
Yeah, it's simulated looks, simulated pressures, simulated looks. We see it all the time. I mean, there's nobody's better at it than this group that's coming in here in past situations. So, it's film study. It's personnel, it's alignments, trying to get a beat on who's lining up where and where we think they're going to end up. I mean, very rarely does anybody just line up and play what they look like, right? So, that's not Saturday. That's your preparation from Sunday to Saturday. As far as what kind of preparation that you put in, how much film study you put in, what it looks like at practice. It was hot out there today. We got our work done, and so. Wednesday's the next step. Got meetings that we'll look at it, and then more installation stuff tomorrow. And then, Thursday it's got to be better. Friday it's got to be better to what point to where you get to the game. You're confident based on the fact that you've prepped the right way for the previous 6 days, and so. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, this is a pro-style defense. I mean, this coordinator is elite. It's an NFL. He's an NFL caliber coach. And that's good. That's going to challenge us, and we're going to see how prepared we are on Saturday.
Is the run game where you want it right now?
Yeah, it's better. It's better than what I thought it was last year. I think Emmett's running extremely hard. It'd be good to get Micaiah back. Ives took a step in the right direction, and so, I mean, obviously everything starts up front, and Dylan with being able to get under center and get us into the right play. Hopefully it's better this week than it was. Just constant improvement. I think we need to be now, especially with Emmett running the ball as hard as he does and as versatile as he is. There's always room for improvement.
Couple things you've seen from Dylan through 3 games that maybe could translate the most into Big Ten play?
Putting the ball in play. I think we're doing a fantastic job of putting the ball in play. That is something that I talk to him about nonstop. Not wasting plays. And what do I mean by wasted plays? Well, it's incompletions. It's throwaways. It's pressure. It's not running the ball when we need to run the ball. He's a student of the game, and so he's done a great job of knowing the game plan and executing the game plan to where we put the thing in play as much as we can.
What does your running back spot look like after Emmett this week? I mean, is it Quentin? Is it Mackay? I mean, what do you look at for that number 2 job if you go with another back in this game?
Yeah, we'll see what practice looks like. See what the tape looks like. We'll see what practice looks like tomorrow, and just that's a constant evaluation, not only at running back but at every position. And so we're repping 3 groups. At this point in the season, I've never been anywhere where we could rep 3 groups. And so, we're doing that, and young kids are going to keep getting better, the Moseys of the world, and, they're going to keep getting better to the point to where I thought Ike had a great practice, and so I got to, as a coordinator, consistently, like, what can we do to put the guys that deserve the reps, get them the ball with the game plan, and then call it the appropriate way to be able to get those guys in there that deserve those reps and deserve those touches.
Confidence that you've gained in Latif the last 2 weeks impact anything as far as the way that you look at I assume the long-term future it does, but the short-term future?
No, not the short-term future. I mean, I think our starter's playing at a pretty high level, so. No, my job's to keep Dylan on his feet, and protect him. I mean, he's playing at an elite level, and, we don't care about recognition at this point. We got 9 opportunities ahead of us that's what that's for. Okay, so he's got to meet that challenge, but it gives me great comfort from a backup role. There's no doubt. He is comfortable when he's in there. Obviously it makes the room good, and he's took those reps and he just keeps getting better. I didn't know what it was going to look like on game day, and geez, I mean, it looked better. It looked better Saturday than it did the previous Saturday, and so he's calm. He's communicating well. His completion percentage is high. He can do some things with his feet, which, in practice out there, he would do that, but I'm like, it ain't real. Just try to throw the ball somewhere, because I don't know if that's real or not. And we're not going to know until it's live. And yeah, he's done a good job with his feet, and I think that brings a different element to that position.
You mentioned Ike practicing well. Is he one of those guys who fits into helping replace Bonner, and how do you feel that process has gone, I guess?
Yeah, it does, because, Wood brought so much to the table from, backing up Ja'Cory, giving us good, solid reps at receiver, but that physicality that he brought, 1 with the ball in his hands, 2 with how he ran routes. You can say, well, receivers don't run with physicality. Well, they can run through things, and he did a phenomenal job of that. And then obviously the blocking element to it. And, that's something that we're doing with Ike a little bit, Carter Nelson as well. But, Ike's the one that's made that jump. I think he'll continue to make that jump. Thank you.
Thanks.
You know, the quarterbacks that move out of the pocket are a little bit of a concern, but you know, we saw that in week one. We've made our adjustments, both schematically and just philosophically. So I think we're going to be a little bit more prepared for that element of the game in terms of, you know, how we call the game, how we approach that player, and you know, each player is different. You know, the quarterback for Cincinnati had really a history of being a runner, and you know, when you watch number 19, he is a pro-style drop-back quarterback with enough athleticism to get out of there, but you know, he wants to be a pro quarterback that's going to sit in the pocket and throw the football and make reads. So similar players, but different in their own way.
How much of his run is more scramble versus say design run?
I had 2 design runs. 7 of them were undesigned. I could be wrong. I'm not in their offensive meetings, but it looked to me like 6 or 7 of those runs were him taking off after undisciplined pass rush lanes or a play breaking down, which that's just standard operating procedure. Most quarterbacks are going to scramble in those situations. He obviously had that quarterback counter where he scored a touchdown, and then I think he had a zone read where he pulled it and the defensive end tackled him. Other than that, it was, you know, him making some plays with his feet outside of the framework.
What do you see from their guys on the outside? Your DBs have been so good at containing really anything down the field. How do Michigan's wideouts stack up with what you've seen so far this year?
I think they have a nice collection of guys, whether it's number 1, number 0, number 4. Their tight ends, 17, 44. They all present some problems for us, both on the inside and the outside. You know, we're stepping in the Big Ten play. No disrespect to the previous teams we've played, but the competition level is going to increase. We understand that. The challenges are going to increase, but our approach isn't going to change. We feel like we have a strength in the secondary, and ultimately, at the end of the game on Saturday, our ability to match up with those players is going to have some type of some type of impact on the outcome of the game.
Is that secondary, I mean, it's statistically lights out. Is it playing about like you expected this year? Is this about what you envisioned?
That's what we'd hoped. You know, when I got here last year, I know I was a secondary coach last year, but there were different systematically. There was a lot of how they were coached in the past was look at the quarterback, have their eyes in the backfield, see a lot, and that's how they approached it. And it took some time for me to adjust that. And then obviously, as I took over as coordinator, my background in coaching the secondary is to take a very collective and disciplined, eye-disciplined approach. When we're playing man coverage, we're looking at our man. When we're playing match coverage, we're looking at our match. Like, we're not looking at the quarterback. In order to defend the pass, you have to defend the receivers, and the quarterback comes second. So I think that those guys have embraced that. They've had more time on task. That just comes with time, being around me, and Coach Addison's doing a good job of coaching it the way I want it coached. So, and then obviously the athlete of the players has continued to improve. I think we've got 3 really good corners, you know, that can match up, that have shown they can match up. We have safeties that can cover. We have linebackers that can cover too. I don't think that can be discounted. You know, the teams have tried to leak running backs out, tight ends out, whether it's Javen Wright or Vincent Shavers or whoever it's been. Like, our matchups have not just been on at corner. We've been doing a pretty good job of matching up with whoever they've been sending out there. So, and that's the key, is making sure. It really comes down to eye discipline and execution within the coverage systems, and then having enough variety in your coverage systems to confuse the quarterback.
When did you see your defensive backs start to pick up what you were asking them to do? Was it in the spring or was it in training camp?
I think it was probably a combination. It's just when I took over, one of the number one things when I talked to Matt is we're going to improve our eye discipline, and we're going to improve our just overall discipline in coverage. That's been the strength of my career. That's always what I've been able to do, and that's what I believe in. So over time, that just has happened, and you just demand that. You don't accept anything less. And you know, when guys have their eyes in the backfield when they're supposed to have their eyes on their man, that's when you give up explosive plays. When your eyes are in the backfield and they're supposed to be on your match, that's when you give up explosive plays. So it's just a constant hammering of making sure you know where your eyes are at the beginning of play, as the play continues, and then through the play, because there tends to be a tendency, like, you know, these gurus out there will tell you got to look for the ball, you got to get interceptions to get paid. Well, if your guy doesn't catch the ball, then you're going to get paid. So,
sorry, how much did Addison's philosophical style of defense, and also Phil Snow, since they've both been coordinators, how much of that was on the same page or similar to what you brought into this program? And then how much did the two or three of you have to, kind of mesh and get on the same page, similar to what you and Tony did last year?
I would say that they have had a good impact on what we're doing. And, Phil Snow obviously is a longtime coordinator that I use as a resource relative to more big picture things. How does this look? What do you think about that? Do you have any general concerns, self-scout oriented? But as far as what we're doing on defense, we're doing what we think is best as we move forward. And then Addison's just been a great addition in terms of, he's been a perfect guy for me to work with. Our personalities are very different, but that is what I was looking for, more so somebody that could kind of bounce off of me as opposed to doing it exactly like I ask. And he's been good in that regard and been able to communicate the message to the room that I wanted to continue.
So the play against maybe like the USC game last year where they hit the big one, was that an example of guys watching the quarterback instead of watching their man?
You're talking about the deep over route on the crossing route? Maybe, but that's the past.
What have you seen just from their running game and how they'll challenge you? And are they pretty similar to what they have been the previous years when Harbaugh was there, or have they kind of changed up how they attack the run game?
Yeah, they present a lot of problems in the run game formationally. The biggest thing is their back is legit. Number 22 is a good, strong runner that breaks tackles. He runs hard, runs physical. They present you with problems formationally, not only just how they formation the run game, whether they're putting extra bodies or big surfaces or all of their motions that are attached to the run game. And then the running back sees it so he can find his creases. If you look at their explosives through the year, I think already their running back, number 22, has 6 or 7 runs over 20 yards that have had huge impacts on the games. The Mexico game broke a couple runs that kind of broke the game open, had a 75-yard run against Oklahoma that really was the majority of their offense. So their run game and then their play actions and their bootlegs off the run game are their bread and butter. That's a pro-style offense that's going to set you up with trying to force you to maximize your box count to defend the run so that they can take some shots over the top of you. And we've got to do a good job of defending that run game, playing with good eye discipline so nobody can get behind us and we don't give up any explosive plays in the run game, but also in the pass game because we're overcommitting to the run.
I know the competition goes up, but have you seen the usefulness for this D-line the last couple of weeks just in the day-to-day of getting better?
Yeah, I think that, when I stand up here and say that the heart and soul of your defense is your D-line, I believe that. And so we have to, it's great that we have the luxury of having the secondary players that we have that can hold up on the outside, but how this defense goes is going to be dictated by how well our front plays, both in terms of how they play and the impact that they have on the game. So part of that is the effort, the physicality, the execution, but also as part of it is we've got to help them with how we're designing the movements, how we're designing the fronts, how we're attacking what we think the weaknesses of their offense are. We're not just going out there and saying, hey, this is what we do and we hope it works. We have a very pointed approach to the players we're attacking on their offense. It's not just about, the secondary, the skill players. Like there's certain players on everybody's offensive line that we want to go after. So we have to go do a good job of identifying those people and executing those systems and then getting our D-line to continue just to believe in themselves with their level of physicality and how much they can impact the game. And I think you're starting to see that.
You guys have also scored points on defense each of the last 2 weeks, and I think Matt mentioned a stat the other day, like elite teams tend to score like 8 to 10 times a year or something on defense. Have you seen guys embrace that part too, not just getting stops, but changing the game like that?
Well, the whole point of defense is getting the ball back to the offense as quickly as possible. So you're trying to get a 3 and out, you're trying to get a takeaway, or you're trying to take away the ball and score. So anytime you can do that, whether it's the safety against Akron or whether it's the scoop and score touchdown last week, we have a sign on our wall up there. There's 1998 maybe it was, Florida State scored 12 defensive touchdowns, which is incredible. And I think in 2000 and at one point the Huskers had 10, which is insane. 10 defensive touchdowns. So, I think anytime we can impact the game in that way, whether it's taking the ball away and giving our offense a short field like we did in the Cincinnati game, where it's scoring on defense like we have in the previous 2 games, our job is to impact the game in any way we can, and we have to put pressure on the other team's offense to force them into mistakes, and then we got to capitalize on those mistakes.
Scoop and score, how fired up were you for Williams to get that touchdown?
Yeah, that was great. And he made it look so natural. He's such a great athlete. He picked the ball up like it was a little orange. He's got those giant hands, and then he was just kind of casually jogging down there. I'm like, yo, bro, you better pick it up. That guy's going to – I asked him if he knew who Leon Lett was, because obviously there's that famous clip from way back when, and he looked at me like, Leon Lett, who are you talking about, bro? But that just shows him that was effortless in terms of, obviously, a great job by Riley. We practice that every single day. Every Tuesday and Wednesday we practice taking the ball away from the quarterback as a blitzer, as a pass rusher. Riley executed that to perfection. And then we work on scooping and scoring with Coach Snow. He has a scoop and score drill where everybody goes through it as a circuit, and Will executed that, flawlessly. So excited for anybody that makes a big play like that, because I asked them when they do that, does it make you feel good? And they all say yes. So I'm trying to get them to do that as much as possible so they can feel better. And so can I.
With Underwood, how much more creative?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
How much more creative can you get going against a true freshman quarterback that has only 3 games under his belt?
Right. Experience is key in football. Experience is key in life. So the more he sees in games, the better he's going to be down the line. It's our job. We've got to stop the run and put them into advantage situations for us where we can then affect him. If they're in advantage situations, 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 3, the whole game, that's an easy game plan, an easier game plan for a quarterback to execute. But if we're stopping the run, putting him behind the chains, forcing him to play quarterback in a drop back system, then that'll allow us to maybe do some more things to affect him and put some pressure on their offense and put some pressure on him. But it all starts with stopping the run and establishing that early in the week and early in the ball game so that we can get a feel for how this game's going to be played.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Have a good day.
What's going on, y'all? I'm well. How are you? Oh shoot, my bad.
I mean, it's a good look.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Sierra, how much fun has this defense and this secondary had together to start the season? I mean, it seems like you guys are a pretty tight group.
Yeah. We definitely are a very tight group. I think that's one of our best attributes. You know, just how close we are and how well we work together as a unit. And in terms of how much fun we've had, I mean, we've been having a blast out there. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing everybody make plays, it makes me happy. It makes us happy. So, yeah, we've been having a great time.
You slid over last week. Just what type of challenge was that for you, and what did you like most about it?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a football player. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think one of the good things about our team is that we emphasize being able to play in any position, you know, and starring in your role. So, you know, when I was told, you know, we want you to do this week, that was what I was going to do. And it was an exciting new challenge for me. So, you know, it was good for me to be able to get in a new spot and just, you know, have fun and figure it out. So I enjoyed it. Oh, it was my first time.
Ever? Like not even in practice?
Yeah, my first time.
You've only had 4 passes thrown your way all season. I mean,
Yeah.
are you expecting that to change this week to have a lot more balls going your way?
Right. I mean, I'm expecting the ball to come my way every play, I think. And, you know, sometimes it just doesn't. So I think that the mindset has to always be like the ball's going to come here, because if you start to get complacent or start to slack off, that's when, you know, you're going to give plays up. So I think I've been, you know, just making sure that regardless of what's happening throughout the course of the game, that I'm focused in on the ball's coming to me. So I have that mentality.
How have you guys changed the way that you cover? Coach Bo was talking about eye discipline, switching from watching the quarterback to watching your man. How's that adjustment gone, and how do you feel like you guys are playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think eye discipline is one of the key points to being successful as a defensive player. You know, offenses will do things to try to play with your eyes, move people around and things like that. And as long as you know what your assignment is and where your eyes are supposed to be and where they're supposed to transition to, then you'll be able to play a lot faster. And Coach Butler has really done a great job of honing that into us and telling us to be disciplined with our eyes and work in specific things to practice that. So I think that it's definitely helped us as a defense.
Watch the quarterback more or your man?
I mean, I think, you know, when you're a man, you're going to watch your man. But I think that, you know, when people break or when people do certain things, if they motion, it is easier to you know, drift and to look at the quarterback. And I think as a younger player at USC, I did have tendencies to do things like that. But as I've gotten older and, you know, heard it more just about, you know, being disciplined with your eyes, I've been able to, you know, work on it and excel in it.
Train you guys to do it better, and how hard is he on you when you don't do it?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Butler's a very energetic person, very passionate person, and I think that's, you know, I love that about him. I love the how much he pours into us, and so we do, you know, a lot of different drills that challenge your eyes and make sure that you have to put them where they're supposed to be, you know. And then if you don't do it, he's very, very sure to let you know that you didn't do it. So.
What stands out to you about Underwood and how you guys as a secondary embrace the challenge of going against a 5-star #1 overall?
Right. Yeah, we're definitely excited to, you know, get to compete with him. You know, he's a great player. Yeah, I think he's very talented. So we're excited to take on that challenge and compete.
I'm curious, in your football journeys, have you come across any of these Michigan players just growing up playing 7-on-7, other things over the course of your football time?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I've probably crossed paths with a few of them through the course of my career. I think I probably would know some more of the defensive players, just being that I'm a defensive player myself. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that the focus is less on who it is and more so on what it is that they're doing. Not, you know what I'm saying?
I know you guys really like playing those night games here, but to have a ranked opponent to open Big Ten play, this has to be a pretty big deal for this team.
Right. I mean, yeah, we're excited to play whoever it is. You know, every week it's the same mentality. I don't think that it changes based on who it is that's coming here. I think, you know, we've done a good job of focusing on is us at the end of the day. You know, every day we're competing with ourselves. And I think that, you know, will carry on to the field.
Go ahead. But how is that relentless pursuit of never feeling satisfied that this team's adopted really fueled you guys? How is that going to help Saturday and into conference play?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, like, it is easy to, you know, have some success and be like, okay, like, I'm doing good. Let me start to coast. But when you have the mindset that, you always have something to improve upon, then I think that's how you see constant elevation. Even in success, I think that you have to nitpick and find something that you've done wrong or find where you could have been better. Even if you made the almost perfect play, like if you were 99% perfect on the play, like you have to find the 1% that you could have done better. You know what I'm saying? And I think that our team is doing a really good job of chasing those minor details and chasing those intricacies that'll improve us on the field.
Allowed Rex Guthrie to be a young player to be on the two deep like he is in playing snaps for you now.
Yeah, Rex is a great guy, man. I'm really impressed by how quick he processes information and how quick he's able to apply things that happen in the meeting room onto the field. Being somebody that is a younger guy, you have to listen in, and I think he's really fortunate to have some older safeties around him that can just pour into him and teach him the game. And he's just done a great job of listening in and taking all those lessons and applying them. And he's a great player, so I'm excited for all the things that he will do on this season and further in his career.
Through a number of these games where there is a marquee name on the other side. Ohio State last year, SC. When you were at USC and you played Notre Dame. What is the challenge of making sure that the focus stays on you, and how do you go about implementing that during the week ahead of the game?
Right. Throughout the course of the off season, the spring, the winter, the spring, the summer, we were really, really big on just building our family and meshing close together, and blocking out any outside noise. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you have family, you have friends that watch the games and watch videos or whatever and they have their opinions on what's going on. But what's most important is what's going on between the walls of the facility and what's going on between the lines of the practice field. And I think that by taking that mindset of really focusing on yourself and your teammates, you don't get caught up in who it is that you're playing against or who they have or whatever it may be that's coming into the stadium or that you're going in to play. You just worry about who it is that you're playing for that's next to you. And so I think we do a really good job of keeping that mindset, and I think it's going to translate.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Oh yeah, I switched it from last game.
Hey, man, what kind of workload are you expecting this week? Obviously, knowing how much they're going to need you in this game.
Yes, sir. Just approaching every week like I do every single Saturday. Just being ready for whatever it may be, whether if that's 20 carries or whether if that's 10 carries or whatever it takes to win. I'm willing to do that. So.
Going out there, just how much more healthy do you feel the fact that you haven't had 2 full games or 3 full games, I guess?
Yes, sir. No, I feel great, and also it's good for those other guys to get in and get a feel for it. Makai and Quentin and guys like that. So I feel really healthy, and I'm glad those guys got some playing time and some burn.
And then how excited are you just to open up Big Ten play against Michigan, and what is this offense looking to do against a tough defense?
Yeah, I'm really excited, man. It's gonna be real fun. I'm really excited. I'm just glad we got a home game too, so that's gonna be great.
Day. How much do you still kind of follow his career and how fun will it be going up against him?
No, yeah, I came in with Ernest, man. We was real cool freshman year. Haven't really talked to him much since, but it's going to be real fun playing against him on Saturday. It's going to be a fun one.
What does he do just well as a defender? He's obviously done it
Oh,
well.
yeah, he's gotten a little bit bigger, more athletic since he's been here and gone there. But honestly, it's really never about other opponents. It's always about us and what we do, so.
I know August was tough for Quentin with the nagging injuries. How do you see him stay with it to be ready to be the backup guy last week?
Yeah, I would say just how you approach meetings and how you approach practice. When he wasn't playing, he was mentally locked in. So as you guys seen last Saturday when he got in, he played confident just because when he was hurt, he was cheering other guys on, but he was also paying attention. And I feel like he's grown mentally during that time. And so now he's physically ready to play.
Always talk about like the nameless faceless opponent. Is it tougher though with this week with 2:30 CBS, Michigan, all that, or how do you see guys doing it?
Nah, it's not tougher at all. We just approaching this like another game, just making it all about us, focusing on what we have to do, and just going out there on Saturday and executing. It's never, about the other opponent.
I mean, how would you say, obviously we've all seen how well you started out the season, but assess the first 3 games yourself for you. I mean, did you surprise yourself with how well you started to play?
Nah, I didn't surprise myself, but I'm still on 0, man. I've already flushed all those 3 games in the past, and I'm just focused on this week, so it was all right. But I got a lot more to do, man. We got a lot more games to be played, a lot more football to be played, so I'm just excited for that.
What kind of challenge does Michigan's front seven just face as you're watching the tape?
Like I said again, man, just focusing on what we got to do. Not really worried about the other opponent. Just focus on what we got to do on Saturday and just go out there and play our football.
How do you think you've done in picking up yards after contact this season?
Yeah, I've done a lot better than last year, I would say. And that just came with my body and my preparation in the offseason, just putting on a lot of muscle and weight, doing a lot of squatting, things like that over the offseason. I PR'd and squat in this offseason, which is good. I knew my legs was pretty strong, so that's going to pay off in the Big Ten because it's a powerful conference. You got to be able to run the ball and get yards after contact.
What was your PR?
It was a 575. I wanted to go up, but they ain't let me. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, appreciate y'all.
How you guys doing? Good.
How's that club? Does that help you on the field sometimes?
No, it's interesting, just get more comfortable with it. But I like it.
Take us back to that week because Coach Rule was really impressed. You had that surgery and then you were back at practice the next morning. What was sort of your mindset at that point? Like, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, so we figured it out Saturday and we created a plan and it was all right, cool. It was either I get surgery, go on a cast, or don't get surgery, go on a cast. So I was I might as well do it and go on a cast. And they were okay, it's going to have to be Tuesday because Monday was the holiday. So they were it's going to have to be Tuesday. And then, they were you could practice on Tuesday and then we go. Or they were you don't have to practice. So I was nah, I want to practice. And then I came back the next day, practice Wednesday with it too. So I just wanted to show my teammates that, I'm going to be out there with them because I was going to play on Saturday still. So I just thought that was important.
How hard is it to practice while fasted, right? Because you couldn't eat or drink anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember I was out there, I was tired. And then, the coaches looked out for me and my teammates was there. They were picking me up and stuff like that when I was down. But I made it through.
How important is lane and rush discipline this week against a guy who showed he could run against Central Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's one thing we've been cleaning up a lot since Cincinnati was just having proper rush lanes, being able to counter at the level of the quarterback, can't have 2 B-gap rushers. So that's just some things we've been really attacking, and we have this one drill that we've been pushing a lot this week.
In hindsight, were there things about the Cincinnati rushing of the quarterback that was just because there were a lot of new guys out there doing it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just it was the first game, so a lot of the times it's you got to know who you're out there rushing with, because some guys like to hit the B gap, get vertical, so it's all right, that end's got to counter. So it's just being able to get that click and being able to connect with each other, be okay, having a proper feel. So I think with the more experience and stuff like that, we're definitely understanding each other more.
How fresh do you feel after some pretty low snap counts for the guys rotating these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go. I'm excited to play this weekend. Getting into that conference ball, I'm excited. And I feel good.
What kind of test will this be for your run defense?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we've been harping on. And, they're excellent with the run, so just being able to stop that,
And I think it's just also like the guys up front, like we're gonna have to show everybody that we got some guys too.
Do you feel like this team has been given, Nebraska has been given the respect through 3 games, and how hungry are guys maybe to earn more respect in a game like this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just being able to have those guys, and just being able to make plays, and like now conference ball is really where it's going to happen. So we still got a lot to prove though.
Anything else for Cam? Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
You played Michigan a couple of years ago. Obviously, things were a little different. You were the quarterback. Now you're tight end and receiver. I mean, how much different has it been to prepare for them from a different spot?
I mean, I think just having that quarterback preparation mindset, it's helped a lot. You just look at things globally, and then there's different things that you can detail in on. Like this time around, I'll be focusing more on how the DNs play, how the linebackers are. Not too worried about the corners or the safeties. Still, have a good grasp of what kind of coverages they're going to play, what the fronts are going to be, different stuff like that. But still, I mean, I think just globally looking at it, it helps a lot to have a quarterback mindset.
How's the tush push gone so far, you think? And how'd you get involved in that?
Yeah, I think, obviously it didn't go the way we wanted it against Akron. We didn't really have an opportunity for it last week, but I think that's something that will come into play, this game and later in the season. I think it's a play that you kind of you can't just expect to line up and run it without practice. You kind of have to. You saw Akron. I mean, they were 8 guys inside of 3 guys almost, and there's guys flying over the top. So you kind of have to fine-tune that a little bit, but I think that can be a deadly play on those short yardage situations.
When did they come to you and say, we want you to be Jalen Hurts?
I don't know if Coach Holgorsen ever said Jalen Hurts, but that was kind of a thing. I think last year, I don't know if Coach Holgorsen even we were at USC. I think we were backed up on the 1-yard line right before halftime, or somewhere backed up or coming out, I should say, and just wanted to get out of that situation. And Coach Holgorsen was still, I don't know if he really exactly knew what Sandy was. I don't remember. So then they were like, Heinrich, go in and run Sandy. I was like, okay. Or tush push, I'm sorry. So I go in there, and we got like 3 yards. And from that point on, Coach Holgorsen was like, oh, this is awesome. Like Heinrich can get 3 yards a pop on Sandy. So, I think that was just a continuation from last year. Didn't really work on it a whole lot in the spring, but still continued to get snaps with Justin. That's not the easiest thing in the world, getting under center snaps, especially when, Justin's got 3 guys lined up on his face. So just continue to work on that.
Why is it called Sandy?
I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. That's been the name of it since I got here. I don't know if I'll get yelled at for saying that it's Sandy, but yeah, it's tush push, I guess.
When you know that's going to be a part of what you do you then go look and watch film at who does it best? Do you watch the Eagles and do you get a sense for like why it's unstoppable basically for them?
I don't think we've really broken it down yet. We put it in kind of like the Eagles have it with someone right behind me and, getting, pushing my tush, I guess. But that's Luke Lindemeyer. And, like I said, we haven't really spent a whole lot of time on it, but, that's something that, maybe moving forward we'll use a little bit more.
A couple weeks ago on Emmett's first touchdown run, you cleaned out a guy. I saw you put your hand up right away. You knew he was gone. And then last week you kind of came around and got a guy pretty good. Do you take as much pride in how have you developed in that part of your game, getting in guys' face, I guess?
Yeah, and I mean, the first thing I'll say is the one last week, and it was a loud hit. Like, when I hit him, I thought, oh, like, this guy's dead. Like, I thought I cleaned him out, and he ended up making the tackle. So, that's something that I'm working on is continuing to run my feet through contact. It looked really cool on the replay, but at the end of the day, my guy still got in on the tackle, so that's something that I have to continue to work on. But yeah, I mean, Coach Rule challenged me earlier this fall, just to be physical on those kind of split zone blocks, and that's something that I've really started to take pride in is just trying to be as selfless as I can, like cleaning out those gaps for Emmett. Trying to just widen the gap as much as I can. So, that's something that I've been working a lot on, and something I take pride in.
Kind of like a car crash.
A little bit, yeah. But at the end of the day, you can't go into it thinking like that. Like, you have to think about delivering the blow. It's just like running the football in my mind. If you're the ball carrier and you go into a hit scared, you're going to get lit up. You have to try and just get lower than the opponent and run through them.
Is there any specific tight end, whether that's college or NFL, that you've kind of watched film of?
Not so much on those split zones. I think the one that I remember watching was Coach Sat showed a little bit of Kyle Juszczyk from the 49ers. A little bit smaller guy, but just big and bulky, and you watch him fly across, and he's blocking guys who are 50 pounds heavier than him, and he just gets lower than all of them and just cleans them out. And it's not a kill shot every time, but he does his job. He widens the gap, gives the running back a clear lane of view, and yeah.
For you to have fully committed to making the change that you did at the end of last season, how much did you have to buy in and believe that it was a position that you could play beyond just this year? Is that an important element for you in this whole process?
Absolutely. I think that's part of it is, me, the self-belief that this is something that I can do moving forward into the future, past this level, whatever that looks like, I'm not sure. But I can't think about that. Right now, my job is to be the best tight end I can be for Nebraska. Whatever that is. Whether that's blocking split zone or next week if Coach Holgorsen asks me to go line up in the slot and run verticals, that's what I'm going to do. And just having the self-belief that I can do all of those things, no matter what it is. So, yeah.
How do you describe the opportunity that's ahead for this team? Having a blue blood program come here to open Big Ten play.
It's every time you have someone like Michigan, like you said, a blue blood program, it's an opportunity for a win that goes down every single year. That maize and blue M that pops out on the schedule every year. It doesn't matter what they look like the year before. It pops. And just having the opportunity to go up against another historic program is a huge deal.
How important is the mental aspect in terms of pass protection and run blocking is it this week, just with how variable Michigan's linebackers are?
Yeah, they're athletic. All of their linebackers, they substitute a lot, show a lot of different looks, a lot of different fronts, and they like to bring some pressures. So just being ready for that and being ready for how physical they are, it's a little bit different than the last couple of weeks. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. So we have to be prepared for that. But I don't think there's anything that changes technique-wise. Just being, I think, mentally prepared for that.
Does that game 2 years ago factor in your mind and your motivation at all as you go through this week?
Absolutely. That game did not go the way I wanted, not go the way any of us wanted. It just got out of hand really fast, and we did not respond the way we wanted to. I don't think that we put our best foot forward that day. And, you know, I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days, just how that week went and what are some different things that, you know, while I'm playing a different position now, there's still aspects of that preparation that go into it that you have to be ready. You know, if something does go wrong, you know, if I mess up at the tight end position, it's, you know, not a pick or something or a fumble. It could be a fumble, but, you know, if I miss a block, how do you move forward from that in a game like this where, you know, they don't care if I just messed up. They're going to bring the same intensity every single play.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Coach Rule really praised you as a leader. And I think not just because you're a positive leader, but you're willing to, at times be tough on your teammates. How hard is that to hold guys your age accountable in today's day and age?
For me, I feel like it kind of started off kind of difficult because, you want your teammates to like you. You want to be their friends, We're always around each other. We're like brothers. But I think I just really had to realize, there's a standard for everything, and friendship doesn't come before the standard. And honestly, once I came with that mindset, it made it a whole lot easier, I'm not really as much worried about, obviously everybody is different. You have to approach guys differently, but for the most part, everybody's tough, thick-skinned people, and they know that I love them and I want the best for them at all times, and I just want to bring the best out of them if they're not performing at that. So I feel like just the relationship I have to have with my teammates so that I can be able to hold them accountable, and then for myself, I always have to make sure that I'm practicing what I'm preaching.
When did you realize that friendship didn't come above the standard?
It had to be around last season. I don't really remember exactly when, but definitely around the midpoint last season, I started to realize that my mindset needs to start shifting into that role.
Is it a result, you think, of your own maturity, just getting older in the program, or is it a result of the things that you're learning from this coaching staff, the leaders that you've been around now for going into a third year?
I feel like it's a little bit of both. Obviously I've grown in age and experience, so I have my own point of view of different things. But Coach Rule, Coach Butler, Coach Addison, all the coaches really, they give us great insight on the stuff and the things that it takes to be a great leader. And they kind of just they don't tell us you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. They give us examples, and every leader is going to be different. I don't expect Deshaun to lead the same way as me. I don't expect Dylan to lead the same way as me, and vice versa. So I feel like just kind of figuring out your best way to take the approach of leadership and just attack it every day.
Butler was in here a few minutes ago, and he said that, talking about Addison, that Butler and Addison have very different personalities, and that John liked that. In what way? I mean, you played for both of them now as position coaches. In what way? How do you see them as different?
I don't know that I really see them as different. Football wise, I feel like maybe off the field, just engagement with them and conversation with them is a little bit different. obviously Coach Addy's a little bit closer to our age, and he relates with us a little bit better. But they both love football and they love their jobs. And every day I feel like any DB could come in the room and say this. Whenever we get here, we know that we're going to get their best foot forward from them. And like from a mindset, schematically, and all that stuff, like they both love football. So that's really no difference to me. I would just say like maybe like off the field, or the difference between like Coach Butler's meetings and Coach Addison's meetings are a little different, but nothing really crazy on the football side.
Personalities of the DBs are very different too. How do your guys' differences help, make a bigger picture, I guess, for leadership for your room?
I feel like that's what makes our room so close and tight-knit, because there are so many personalities that we have to engage with each other. We can't just sit around, go to meetings, go to practice, and that's the only time we see each other. We're always hanging out outside of the building, even on the weekends after games and stuff. So I feel like just being around each other is what makes it such a tight-knit group and easy to lead. I know those guys, they expect me to lead. It's not really just me always getting on them and getting on them and getting on them. It's positive feedback, but just knowing that, yeah, we all come from different places. We all act differently when we're alone, but once we're together, we're one group. And, that's kind of just like we want to move accordingly to that.
How is this team balancing the mantra of that nameless, faceless opponent while also understanding this is Big Ten play, this is Michigan?
I feel like that's kind of been our motto since the season has started. This is just the first week that we've actually like made it an actual physical name of something we were doing. But shoot, since we started week 1 with Cincinnati, we weren't really worried about, the name or who they are. Always have a healthy respect for our opponent and making sure that we know anything and everything about them and how they play. But at the end of the day, it's football, and they're just another person across. It doesn't really matter who they are.
Butler was talking about how one of the changes from last year's pass defense to this year's is where you guys have your eyes. Last year was more on the quarterback. This year it's more on your man. How do you feel like that's improved or changed the way you guys cover the pass?
Honestly, just emphasis on it during the offseason. We really coached it really hard that if we're in man-to-man coverage, your eyes need to be on your man. And, it seems simple, but, when the game's moving fast, people are moving around, it's easy to get your eyes somewhere they're not supposed to be. And just everybody making sure that they take accountability for themselves, that your eyes are always in the right place. That way everybody can fly around the field and, it looks better.
Has it changed? I mean, you guys improved your pass defense as a result?
I think so. I'd say so for sure.
You played alongside Ernest Hausman in 2022, and now you're both captains of your respective teams. But what does he do specifically well that's going to provide a challenge for Nebraska's offense?
Honestly, I have the most confidence in our offense, and I haven't really watched a lot of their defense. Ernest was a great player when he was here, but he was also a freshman. I feel like it's kind of hard to gauge the difference between him now and then. 3-year difference. He was a incoming freshman. He had a little experience throughout the season. He played really good against Michigan that year, but if you ask me, I always got our offense over anybody, so that's my answer for that.
For you personally, I mean, you didn't get to play last time Michigan was here. I know you were on the sideline for that game, but is there any extra emotion watching that game from the sideline and motivating you this week?
That whole season was tough for me. I would say like every game I had to sit and watch from the sideline, I was dreading it. But like we've said, it doesn't really matter who's coming in. This game's important because we're playing in it, and that's how we're going to take every step moving forward.
What do you see on film from Michigan's quarterback and just the challenge he presents your secondary?
I feel like he's a good player, very mobile. He has a very strong arm, but it's just all about us. I feel like if we play to our standard, our keys are right, and everybody just flies around, it should be a good day for us. Thank you, guys.
to accomplish all.
All right, questions?
Where is this team at in 3 games, and kind of what makes you feel maybe that you're ready for a game like this now?
Yeah, we definitely made a lot of progress. Just turning on the tape from last Saturday and comparing it to where we were at Cincy, I mean, we're a completely different team than we were 3 weeks ago. Just in terms of, execution, effort, kind of the edge we play with.
You've played against, I think this will be the 4th game you've had against Michigan.
Yeah.
What do you remember just about those other ones, and how much do those kind of come to mind when you're preparing this week?
Yeah, I mean, you try not to, think about the past too much going into a week like this because it's a whole different team. I mean, even from when we played them 2 years ago, not many of those guys are still there. So it's important to, just play the guy across from you, really just dive into what he does on every single play.
Is there anything you take from that is helpful just in terms of how they play on the other side and how you guys can prepare for that?
Yeah, just knowing what to expect when we get out there, really understanding, what they try to accomplish on defense, how they want to attack us, helps us better. Just know the game going into it. You can play it out in your mind the week leading up.
What do they do on defense? I mean, when you look at, they lost a lot of guys in the NFL last year, draft picks. I mean, what does this unit do as far as what you've seen the first 3 weeks?
Yeah, they play a really NFL style of defense. Their DC came from the NFL, so it's really similar to the stuff that you see on Sundays, which is a really good experience for guys on the line. But it's just really technically sound group. They don't make many mistakes.
How do you describe to younger players just what the Big Ten challenge is, not just this week, but the rest of the year, week in and week out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a grind. It definitely is. No game is, an easy one. It's such a competitive league. I mean, every D-line's got a couple guys that'll play on Sundays, so it's really important that, from Sunday to Friday, you do everything you possibly can to be at your very best on Saturday.
Have you learned little tips and tricks through the years about how to stay fresh and stay at your best?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the support staff we have here with Mitch, our sports scientist. I mean, he does an amazing job of, not just making sure that our bodies are good to go on Saturday, but teaching us how to do it. And so just from him, a nutrition standpoint with Miss Kristen, and then a film standpoint with all of our coaches, we're better prepared going into each week than I think we ever have been.
What have you seen from Emmett these last few weeks and in his ability to follow the blocks and then run through contact as well?
Yeah, with him, I've seen him take a step just in his, confidence, and especially it started to pick up at the end of last season, where he just knows that he's a guy. But no, it's been great to watch him, and really just he does a great job of taking practice to the game. I mean, everything he works on in practice, it shows up.
What about running the ball this week, just the challenges and being better, as Coach Holgorsen and Coach Rule talked about, in that deep red zone area once you kind of get inside the 10-yard line? How have you guys worked on that?
Yeah, I mean, it starts, with every single run through, every single time we're breaking down film. And then tomorrow is kind of our situational day. So, tomorrow we'll really get into the, game plan for down there. But I mean, it just takes a elite level of focus that, as the drive goes on, it's hard to, sustain that focus sometimes. And, I think we just need to do a better job of just staying focused and have that killer instinct of, all right, we're in the 10, we're getting 6.
Henry, how do you describe the level of confidence you guys have, not just the entire team, but offensively, with what you guys have accomplished the last couple of weeks in particular?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to have your, confidence grow after you put up 68 and then 59. No, I mean, we're always just looking to take another step. There's stuff from the last game we need to clean up. And so, I think we went out there and we really attacked that today. Thank you, guys.